Listen, if you want the straight truth about that Detroit loss, Michael Irvin said it better than most. And I want you to hear the parts that matter. Irvin's core message wasn't a blow-by-blow of stats. It was about mindset. The Cowboys didn't show up with the kind of desperation that wins games like that. You and I both saw the same thing. After 3 big wins, the team looked a little satisfied, almost patting themselves on the back. And when Detroit brought the kind of do-or-die energy that was necessary, Dallas didn't match it. Irvin kept coming back to the same point Jimmy Johnson used to pound into his teams: you never get comfortable. Jimmy made practice hell so games could be heaven, and Irvin wonders whether Brian can push the same standard. That matters because talent alone didn't beat Detroit. They beat Dallas with physicality, tackling, and schemed pressure that forced mistakes. Now, let's be honest about specifics without getting lost in the noise. Irvin noted the Cowboys needed to start fast, and they didn't. When the offense sat back and waited, Detroit dictated the tempo, and you felt that on the field. CeeDee Lamb's injury changed the game plan. Losing his second-half presence hurt timing and space. But Irvin also points to play calling and a lack of early urgency. The Lions weren't just lucky. They executed a plan to stop the Cowboys' bread-and-butter slant game by cheating coverage and making tight throws uncomfortable. When that slant got disrupted and a tipped pass turned into a turnover, the game swung decisively. Add in the offensive line giving up sacks and the special teams flipping field position, Detroit's kickoff returns regularly started drives near midfield. And you've got a recipe for Dallas being on its heels. Here's something Irvin said that's worth saving. Effort is controllable. You can't control every call, but you can control how hard you play. Detroit came with the mindset of death before defeat, and the Cowboys looked like they were enjoying the ride. That's not a slight against individuals, it's a critique of a group that needs to hold itself accountable. So, I've got a question for you. Do you think Dallas was complacent going into that game? Type yes or no in the comments and tell me why. If you want more of this kind of breakdown and honest accountability, short, sharp, and direct, hit subscribe and help the channel get to our goal of 17,000 subscribers so we can keep making these calls. Also, smash the like button if you want the coaching staff to see this kind of fan pressure. I'll add this. Irvin gave credit where it's due. Dan Campbell earned a game plan that found Dallas's weak spots, and special teams and turnovers are as much part of that as any schematic tweak. But the bottom line Irvin keeps returning to is culture. Are you willing to grind when it doesn't feel good? That should be the rallying cry from the locker room right now, not social media praise. All right, we'll dig into the offense next and break down the slow start plays, sacks, and where Brian can turn this around. Brian and the offense have to be the focal point here because the way Dallas started, or didn't start, put them in a hole they couldn't consistently dig out of, and Irvin nailed that. From the jump, the Cowboys failed to impose their will. Play calling didn't create early rhythm, the line gave up critical pressure, and turnovers killed any momentum they tried to build. You saw the slant game, cornerstone of this offense, get taken away by Detroit cheating coverage and jamming routes. That forced tighter windows and hurried throws, and when the pass was tipped and turned into a turnover, the momentum swung the other way. It's not just one thing. Brian Schottenheimer's scheme has been brilliant at times, but in Detroit, you could argue he didn't adjust fast enough to the Lions' aggressive approach. When you combine late snap timing, a crumbling pocket that allowed 5 sacks, and an offense that consistently started cold, you end up giving a really good opponent short fields and second chances. And yes, CeeDee Lamb's concussion and being limited in the second half changed the math. Losing his playmaking took away both a safety valve and the ability to stress defenses vertically. But even before that, the Cowboys weren't consistently hitting early high-percentage plays to get comfortable. The offensive line needs to be harsher at the point of attack. If you're protecting your quarterback poorly, you reduce playbook options and increase turnovers. Special teams also played a role. Detroit's long kickoff returns repeatedly started drives in opponent territory, and suddenly the offense was fighting to erase short fields instead of controlling time of possession. So here's where you come in. In the comments, drop one word: OL, play calling, or turnovers. Which one do you think is the single biggest offensive fix right now? Be honest. While Brian deserves credit for some creative concepts, the coaching staff must tighten the morning routine, get the offense starting faster, and focus on quick, decisive plays that neutralize pressure until the line steadies. If you want the coaches to feel the fan pressure for real change, hit like and subscribe to push us towards 17,000 subscribers so we can keep making these deep, accountability-style breakdowns that actually reach the people who need to hear them. I'll say this: small procedural fixes, tempo at the snap, pre-snap checks, quicker reads can buy this offense time to settle into the second half. And that could be the difference between a loss and a comeback. Next up, we'll give Dan Campbell and the Lions the credit they earned and break down exactly how Detroit's game plan exposed Dallas. If you want that section, Dan Campbell and the Lions deserve full credit. They came with a plan, and they executed it, and that plan exposed weaknesses in Dallas that Irvin kept pointing out. Detroit didn't win by accident. They schemed to stop the Cowboys' strengths. They played the physical brand of football Irvin praised, and their special teams repeatedly flipped field position, which put Dallas in a hole before the offense could even get settled. Remember how that slant, the bread and butter look, was neutralized? Detroit cheated coverage, jammed routes, and forced tighter windows that hurried the quarterback and produced that tipped interception that swung momentum. Beyond that, their tackling was relentless. They swarmed to the ball and make game-changing stops. And when you combine that with long kickoff returns and short fields, the math turns in Detroit's favor quickly. Give Dan Campbell credit for finding mismatches and forcing Dallas into uncomfortable spots. And don't forget how much the Lions' urgency mattered. They played like a team that had to have that game, and on-field desperation showed up in every phase. Now I want you to weigh in. Did Dan Campbell outcoach Dallas? Or was this a failure of execution by the Cowboys? Drop a yes or no in the comments and tell me one sentence why. If you respect game planning like that and want more breakdowns that call out both coaches and players, smash the like button and hit subscribe. We're pushing for 17,000 subscribers, so these videos actually get seen by more fans, and, who knows, maybe even folks in the building. Tactically, there are a few clear takeaways. Neutralize the special teams' threat, better kickoff coverage, and tackling on returns. Force cleaner line play to prevent short fields, and adjust play calling faster when an opponent clearly cheats coverage. Those aren't sexy fixes, but they're practical, and they're the kind of things a coaching staff can correct in short order if they prioritize them. Irvin's point about not getting comfortable ties directly to this: when the opponent outworks you and out-prepares you for a game plan, it shows. Detroit's adjustments and physicality won the day. Now, Dallas has to respond by tightening fundamentals and showing that same single-minded urgency. Up next, I'll dig into the cultural critique Irvin made, the Jimmy Johnson comparison, and what it would take for Brian to instill that edge again. So, If you want me to keep going, if the tactical issues told one part of the story, Michael Irvin's cultural critique told the rest. And honestly, it hit even harder. When Irvin said Jimmy Johnson would never allow this, that wasn't nostalgia. That was a direct indictment of what he sees as a comfort culture creeping into Dallas. And the crazy thing? You can see flashes of it on tape. You can see it in body language. You can see it in the way small mistakes snowball because urgency isn't consistent across all 60 minutes. Irvin wasn't talking about talent. Dallas has talent. He was talking about edge, that relentless, uncomfortable, borderline obsessive standard that defined the Cowboys of the 90s. With Jimmy, every rep mattered. Every mistake got corrected instantly. And the players policed each other because the culture demanded it. That's what Irvin says is missing. Not effort overall, but sustained top-down accountability that doesn't disappear when things get tough or when the schedule gets easy. And when he said Jimmy would have stopped practice, he meant it literally. If a receiver rounded a route, stop practice. If a defender loafed for one step, stop practice. If special teams gave up a long return, everybody ran. You cannot win without urgency, Irvin said. And after watching what Detroit did, you understand exactly why he emphasized it. But here's the important part. This is fixable. Culture isn't talent. It's tone. It's leadership. It's what's demanded Monday through Saturday, not just Sunday on TV. Brian can correct this. The players can correct this. But it starts with honesty, the kind Irvin delivered on live television. Now, let me throw this to you. Do you think the Cowboys have a culture problem right now? Drop a yes or no in the comments. And if you're brave, add one sentence explaining why. Your take might make it into the next video. Before we move on, do me a favor. If you appreciate breakdowns that tell the truth and don't sugarcoat what's happening in the building, hit the like button. And if you're new here, subscribe. We're pushing hard to hit 17,000 subscribers, and your support helps bring these voices to more Cowboys fans. So here's where all of this leaves the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys. Not in panic mode, not in denial, but somewhere in that uncomfortable middle ground where a good team has to decide whether it wants to become a great one. Because if you strip away the frustration, the social media noise, the commentary from Irvin, and even the blown opportunities against Detroit, what you're left with is simple. The Cowboys still control who they become next. The flaws are real, the tape doesn't lie, and the criticisms aren't made up. But none of it is fatal unless the team ignores it. This is where coaching and leadership matter more than talent. Brian has to make the toughness, the discipline, and the urgency non-negotiable again. He has to demand it, enforce it, and reinforce it until it becomes second nature on every snap, not just in the first quarter or when the crowd is loud. And the players, especially the veterans, have to decide they're going to be uncomfortable for the sake of winning. That's the part Irvin was talking about, not punishment. Standard. And you, as a fan, play a bigger role in this than people realize. Your expectations matter. Your voice matters. When you demand excellence, when you refuse to settle for empty stats and highlight real moments that don't lead to playoff wins, you raise the bar for the entire conversation around this team. That pressure trickles upward, and believe me, they feel it. Players hear it. Coaches hear it. Ownership hears it. Where does this leave George Pickens? Honestly, in a moment of truth. His talent is not the question. His upside is not the question. What matters now is whether he leans into accountability and becomes the kind of player who can be trusted in the biggest moments. Not perfect, just consistent. The coaching staff can help him. Dak can help him. Teammates can help him. But at the end of the day, only Pickens can decide whether he's going to be a reliable part of the Cowboys' future or the subject of constant debates on talk shows. If he locks in, if he matures a notch, if he embraces the work the same way guys like Ceedee and Brandon Cooks do, then all this noise turns into a stepping stone moment we look back on later as the point where everything changed for the better. But if he doesn't, then the questions we're asking today will keep returning every time the team hits a rough patch. And for the Cowboys as a whole, that's the bigger picture. Can they take this moment, the criticism, the spotlight, the tough conversations, and use it as fuel? Can they build a culture that responds with urgency instead of frustration? Can they fix the small things that become big things in January? They have the roster, they have the quarterback, they have the coordinators. Now they need the edge. Before we wrap this up, I want to hear from you one more time. Do you think this wake-up call helps the Cowboys long-term? Or is it just more noise, unless we see real changes on the field? Drop your take in the comments. I read every one of them. And, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. It really does help us push toward that 17,000 subscriber goal. And hit like so this video reaches more Cowboys fans who want real conversations, not sugarcoating.